When converting units of measure, we need to remember these two simple rules. You multiply when you change larger units to smaller units. So we multiply when we're going from larger to smaller, and we divide if we're changing a smaller unit to a larger unit. We will use those rules along with the information that we see here in this chart to help us answer some conversion problems. We'll go to our book and we can work some examples of converting from one customary unit to another. So number one, we're converting miles to yards. The first thing we need to think about is which unit of measure is larger. Is miles or yards larger? Well, we know miles are larger than yards, so we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. Our rules tell us when we're converting from larger to smaller, we're going to multiply. We're going to multiply the 2 miles that we have times the number of yards in a mile. And when you look back on the chart on the previous page, and you look for the connection between miles and yards, you see that 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. So we'll multiply 2 times 1,760. And you may use a calculator for this. We get 3,520 yards. The next problem, we're converting yards to feet. Again, the first thing we need to think about is which unit is larger. Yards are larger than feet, so that means we're converting a larger unit to a smaller unit. So again, that means we need to multiply. We're going to multiply the 6 because that's the number of yards that we have to convert. And the other number is going to come again from the chart. We'll look for the relationship between feet and yards. And we see that 1 yard equals 3 feet, so we will multiply 6 times 3, and that gives us a total of 18 feet. In the next example, we are converting inches to feet. And yes, we'll have some leftover inches here to fill in here, but our main conversion is 90 inches into feet. The larger unit this time is the feet, which is on the right. So this time we're going from a smaller unit of inches to a larger unit of feet. So that means we'll be dividing in this problem. 90 is the total number of inches that we need to convert. So the 90 is what we're dividing. And our divisor, the number we're dividing by, would be the number of inches in a foot. There are 12 inches in 1 foot. And then we divide 12 into 90, goes 7 times. And when we subtract, we get a remainder of 6. So after our division problem, we can see that 90 inches would be a total of 7 feet with 6 inches left over. So our answer would be 7 feet, 6 inches. In number 4, we're converting feet to yards. So we have to determine whether feet or yards would be our larger unit. Yards are larger than feet, so that means we're converting a smaller unit to a larger unit. When we convert smaller to larger, that means we are dividing. So 57 is the total number of feet that we have, so that's the dividend. That's what we're actually dividing. We're going to divide by the number of feet in a yard, and that's 3. And again, you can refer to the chart on the previous page if you need to know how many feet are in a yard. So we will do this division, or you can use your calculator, and we would get a total of 19 yards. We can use this same information and these same steps for converting to compare units of measure. So if we look at number 16, we want to compare the number of feet, compare this number of feet, 8, to 3 yards to determine whether it is less than, greater than, or equal to each other. And you can choose whether to change the 8 feet into yards, or you convert the 3 yards into feet. Since most of you prefer to multiply, we're going to change the larger unit into the smaller unit of measure. So in this case, the 3 yards would be the larger unit of measure. And when we say larger, we're not talking about numbers, we're talking about units. So we have feet here and yards here. Yards are greater in length than feet. So that means we're going to convert the 3 yards into feet so we can multiply instead of divide. So we know we're going to multiply times 3 because that's the total number of yards that we have. And then we know that there are 3 feet in a yard. So we're going to multiply 3 times 3, and that gives us a total of 9. So this 3 yards we know equals 9 feet. So we're now comparing 8 feet to 9 feet. 8 feet is less than 9 feet. If we look at this last example, 3 yards and 2 feet, and we're comparing it to 132 inches. Yards and feet are larger than inches, so if we convert this side, then we will be using multiplication because we would be going from larger units to a smaller unit. What we'll have to do here is kind of break this into 2 problems. We will convert 3 yards into inches, and then we will have to convert 2 feet into inches. If we start here, 2 feet and converting it into inches, we're going from larger to smaller, so that means to multiply. We know we're going to multiply times 2 because that's the number of feet that we have. We're going to multiply 12 times 2 because there are 12 inches in 1 foot. 12 times 2 is 24. So we know the 2 feet part of this is 24 inches. Now we need to convert the yards. Again, we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so that means we're going to multiply. We have a total of 3 yards, so that's the number we're going to multiply by. Now, when you look in your chart, you'll notice there's no conversion for the number of inches in a yard. But we know that there are 3 feet in the yard, right? 3 feet equals 1 yard. And we know that 12 inches equals 1 foot. So that means if we multiply 3 times 12, we get 36, which would be the number of inches in a yard. So we would multiply 36 times 3, which would be 108 inches. So now if we add the 108 plus the 24, so we're going to add 108 plus 24 to get the total number of inches in 3 yards and 2 feet. That would be 132 inches. And we see that that is equal to 132 inches.